Earnestly podcast coming to you on August 9th, 2022. How you guys doing? We are actually doing this video for once. Actually, it's been a while since we did a solo pod with video. Obviously, you guys see the video. You guys don't see the videos when I have a guest, whatever. But I have not done a video podcast with me by myself in quite a while. I figured let's go ahead and do this time. I'm actually using StreamYard. Shout out to Big Jim for letting me use his StreamYard to do this. Um, Big Jim, of course, part of this podcast, and regular this podcast all the time and all that. But how you guys doing? This episode is called Scaling Back, because this is gonna be the last podcast we do for a little bit. Um, not gonna take a long hiatus, but I'm gonna take a little bit of a hiatus, like a week and a half, maybe in 2 weeks. And not just this show, but also all media related things I do normally, not just this show, but take the wrestling and other like spots I tend to do normally, throughout the week. Um, Mainly because of the fact that my kids are actually starting school tomorrow. We just had my youngest son's open house. He's starting kindergarten as well, so it's gonna be a big adjustment for us now for the next couple of weeks. And I want to make sure my palate's clean for the next couple of weeks. Make sure my attention is focused on them moving forward. Um, and not just that, but also, with that going on, it made me start thinking about things going on with my life and things that are I need to start focusing on in the coming year, not just in the next couple weeks, but coming year. And as you guys know, I love podcasting. Some of you say, my wife will probably tell you I'm addicted to podcasting and all that. Hey, that is what it is. I love the medium. It's great. It's the one thing I can do that feels like that. It's not a chore, for example, but it's also therapy for me as well too, and it's something I enjoy. But I also have family, I also have priorities, I have a job and all that, and I have to balance it out. And there are times where, and I remember last year too, for example, where I do get burnt out. I do have a tendency to get burnt out at times, and it could be an issue because I take on a lot more than I probably should. I take on a lot more than I could chew. So the one of the things I've been thinking about really is with football coming up very soon, and obviously on this show, especially this podcast, throughout the years as we now enter our 11th year, um, this is typically the busiest time of year for me because football's back and I'm head first into that. Next thing you know, basketball's around the corner and everything else, and then obviously a lot of content is pretty active around the fall. So I wanted to get ahead of it this time. And last year I started doing Football's Awesome podcast, that a weekly show on this feed last season, which I enjoyed doing. But what you guys don't know is that there were times throughout the end of the year, towards the end of the year, I started getting burnt out doing the show because at some point, it's a commitment for 1 week, for example. And not only that, the show also itself, the structure of itself, it's really, the show is 3 segments, sometimes more. And it's 3 different segments that you have to do the same time, the same day, then edit, and then put it out to the masses after that. And it's a lot of work. Now, I know I bragged recently that, the cool thing about my kids going back to school is that I'll have more time to do these things and to do more podcasts. But at the same time, while that is the case, I'm also wanting to do more than just sitting in my studio on my days off to do that. I mean, I love being in my studio and doing shows, but between doing this show, between doing Take 3 Wrestling on Thursdays, okay, and now I've committed now to doing a second year with Big Jim, and doing Huddle Up podcast on Tuesday nights. I don't want to spend my Tuesday days, for example, committed to just doing Huddle Up, the Huddle Up, Football's Awesome every single week, because that's a week, that's a commitment that's gonna probably going to triple 2-3 hours of my time between editing and putting together the show itself. So I haven't made a final decision on this yet, but I've pretty much, I would say about 95% sure that I'm not going to bring back that show this year. I want to be able to use that time slot on Tuesdays to, yeah, I'll do a show once in a blue moon if I need to, maybe do a solo podcast, but that's not as much of a commitment as saying doing that show. So I want to keep that spot open for other things, not just the podcasting, but also going out to lunch with my friends, visit my mom on my days off and doing other things, maybe play poker once in a while, so things of that nature. Just I have that time now where I can do there's 4 or 5, 6 hours of that day where the world's my oyster, the world's mine, and I want to just keep it to podcasting, especially when I have enough things going on in the medium when it pertains to podcasting anyway. going on. So that's where I'm at now. We're gonna probably not do that show this season. I'm gonna commit to the one things I've committed to. I'm gonna commit to Huddle Up on Tuesdays. I'm gonna commit to Take Three on Thursdays, and I'm gonna do this show around all that. Which I've always done, and I just don't want to get burnt out at the end of the day. Also, another reason why I'm even more happy about this decision now too, especially, is that I found out today from my from the we went today to my son's my youngest son Logan went to his open house today because he's starting kindergarten tomorrow. We found out that he's actually in a accelerated class, accelerated. So because of that, probably gonna need more of my attention and more of my time. Especially because there's a couple nights a week where my wife and I aren't together at home. She works at night on a couple days a week, and I got to be home, as well, and with homework and everything else. And now that's homework, double homework now between my fourth grader and my kindergartner. I need to be focused. I need to make sure I am family first. And that is something I do not compromise on at all. My family. I'm not gonna do that. So between that and the commitments I have going on, I just wanted to take this. I wanted to take an evaluation and assessment of my entire schedule, what's what, and I realized that maybe not doing that show this season might be the best idea because that show takes up a lot of my energy, my bandwidth, and I don't want to do that. So that's what's going on here. So like I said, would be this will be the last show for about maybe 10 days. I just want to make sure that my kids, make sure my family, and because one of the big things about starting this year too is routine. Routine is important to us. I need to make sure that everything is all the ducks are in a row. And as long as all ducks in a row, I can be able to do everything else going forward. Obviously, later in the month, we're going to have our annual over-unders, NFL over-unders with Zach and Chris. Later in the month, we're going to have we have other interviews I plan to do in the coming weeks once we get past this hiatus. But like I said, I want to clear the palate a little bit this for the next couple of weeks, kind of focus on my family, focus on just kind of recharge a little bit, and then get back to the grind. Once we get back to doing this in a few weeks. I also want to start. One of the things I want to start doing too is, and then it's about time and using that slot, is I want to get back to really getting my health back in order and starting a new exercise regimen. I want to start. One of the things I want to try to do going forward is I want to try to start working out in the morning before I go to work. My 9-year-old actually said that he wants to start running in the morning with me, walking and running in the morning before school and before work. That will require me waking up at 6:30 in the morning. I can do that for the most part most days, other than probably Friday because I record Take Wrestling on Thursday night pretty late till like midnight. So if we do that, that's something I want to start doing. I know I've been going to the pool a lot more lately. I know the pool's been great for me. I've been trying to get back into the swing of things and exercise a little bit more. I haven't really been doing that in years. Now with the schedule opening up now with the kids going to school, I have a little more time to do things of that nature. We'll see how that goes, how that plays out in the weeks to come, in the months to come, obviously. But that's something I want to start doing for myself, and because look, health is wealth, man. And yeah, I got to eat better, of course, and whatnot. But I also start exercising as well too. And I'll tell you what, but a lot of people don't know know me for the last like 10 years, but before that, I used to be a gym rat. I used to be able to I went to gym all the time. I used to work out. I was in pretty phenomenal shape. When I was in the band, I would, because one of the things that me in the rock band, you want to make sure you're in shape because doing the stage shows, we were always active on stage, and I took working out very serious back then, not only just for a feature to look good, but also to feel good, because the music we were doing was pretty brutal. It was pretty heavy, and it was pretty, you get into it. But I've been pretty much I have not really been much into the gym and working out in a consistent way in a long time. Probably, I dare say 10 years ago, and I've lost like 40 pounds in the last couple of years. But a lot of that was also because I've adjusted my eating and doing intermittent fasting and all that, and that's something that I'm still doing, obviously, but I need to do more to really get to the point where I want to feel healthy. I want to be able to see my kids get older and see their kids become, and they have kids and all that. And I can't do that if I'm not taking care of myself. And again, this is what it comes down to. The same thing too, with assessing the bandwidth and assessing the things that really do matter. And having my family and having, these things ducks in a row, I need to make sure that's taken care of first and foremost. So yeah, that's the priority now. So I want to get back to exercising, new regiment. I was saying too, also, with Take Three, a wrestling podcast, if you're interested in that, you can subscribe on any podcast catcher. Take Three Wrestling. Um, we're pretty much now a 4-man group now. Like we've been doing 3. It's been me, Mike, and Joe for the last 2.5 years, and then our friend of the show, this show, and all the other shows we do, Big Jim James Nees has been pretty much 4th member. It kind of reminds me of like Metallica when like they I spoke about Some Kind of Monster when they when Jason left the band and they were doing they were a 3-member band for about a year, 2 years before getting Rob Trujillo. And it's kind of it kind of feels like that, like we've been a 3-man group for 2.5 years, whatever, and then all of a sudden we get the 4th guy, and it kind of just happened and fell into us. And the reason I'm bringing this up too because it that whole thing actually reminds me of being in a band. That show more than anything else. Like this show obviously is my show. Like even with people that come to the show regularly, at the end of the day, I drive this show. Not to sound egotistical, but I'm the one that produces it. I'm the one that drives this conversation. I'm the solo act on this one too. When I'm gonna do like solo shows like this one, for example, this is my show. Earnestly Speaking is my show. Take 3, I guess you can say it's my show technically because I do all the final stuff on there, the production, whatever. But it's really a shared experience. It's really a shared show between me, Mike, and Joe, and now Big Jim's on there now. And it's funny, like we're going through the motions of putting other segments and all that, and it got me thinking about like my days back when playing music and with my guys back in the day, and this it's nothing bad either. It's just some of those things where like this tells me that podcasting and music aren't really that different. Like our friend Matt McQueen he had his first. I remember one of his first shows he did, or actually his first show he ever did on his podcast, Mix Minds podcast. You check it out, of course, great show. Um, um, Garage Band, podcast is a new Garage Band. That's so true though, because while it's two different mediums, podcasting and music creation is not that far off. It's both creative. It's both, using mics and using new equipment and all that. Obviously music's probably a little more elaborate, but at the same time, it did remind me of being in a band back in the day, and yeah, I do miss that time sometimes. I mean, obviously there's a big difference when you have to share a show and you have different egos and different topics and different directions you want to go in and fighting whatnot. It's no different than being in the band. But at the same time, with this show, I'm driving the show. I'm the solo act. I'm the producer. I'm the singer. I'm the spotlight. Whatever. Although, to be honest with you, with the interviews, I try to make the guest spotlight because the guest ultimately is the one that we're bringing him into the fold, and we're trying to him or her to the fold, and we're trying to have them bring their perspective on things on life. So, but yeah, that's yeah, got me thinking about that. My days in the band. Miss those days sometimes. Speaking of like being in the band, my wife and I were talking about a couple days ago how much we miss going to concerts. One of the things that we used to bond over, like dating together and being together early on before we had kids, before we got married. One of our biggest things we used to do was not only go to different restaurants, of course, but that's one of our things we still do to this day. We love going to concerts, and I miss going to concerts. We missed, unfortunately, Incubus, her favorite band, came to town last not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before that, and we missed that show. We actually, I can't say we missed the show. We actually forgot. We actually knew the show was coming. We just kind of forgot about it after a while because money's tight right now. We're trying to get things in order here at home and all that, and going to concerts is not really a priority. But now with the pandemic pretty much in the rearview mirror, and we're back to not relatively normal for the most part. A lot of these music acts are starting to tour again, and lots of shows coming to town. Lots of shows came to town, and all that. And like you have Seven Dust, one of my favorite bands in the world, that's coming down in September. I know Lizzo, one of her favorite artists, is coming to town next month as well too. I saw just yesterday that Mastodon, one of a band I love very much, is coming to town in Tampa in early September. And I was telling her, I really did, before we had kids and whatever, before we got really old and this family driven and all that. God, I miss going to concerts. So I was telling her, we should really make an effort to try to go as much concerts as we can. The issue with going to concerts with us is finding babysitters and finding people, make sure they're available to do it watch kids on those days. It's not that easy. It's not easy. My brother-in-law just moved away to Tennessee recently, so we don't have him anymore. My mother-in-law moved away to California. We don't have her around anymore. My mom could watch the kids once in a while, but I don't want to keep pressing her to watch the kids all the time because I always need her for work-related things of that nature. So, but I miss going to concerts, man. I really miss it. Like you guys know this on this podcast, I love sports and all that stuff. Love sports, love tech, love wrestling, music, but music is my passion. Like that is my real passion. I've always been a music head for a long time. You guys know I love metal, pop, rock, hip hop, you name it. I love it all. It's a country. I'm not a big country guy. But to be honest, even country I can respect some degree as well too. You know, they still bring something unique to the table. Anyway, I'm sure you guys have been following the news on Donald Trump. As yesterday of this podcast, a day ago, as this recording, his Mar-a-Lago estate, which actually is 15 to 20 minutes from my house, and from where I work, it's actually about 5 minutes from where I work. Got raided by the FBI yesterday. Lots of opinions on that on both sides. I mean, without getting into the minutia of this, because I know it's going to be a topic we're going to talk about in the future with future guests on the show, the Mark Francois in the world and all that nature. Here's what I'll say. If you're a Republican or a Trump supporter, let me just say as much. If Donald Trump has something that's criminal, in there, you got to take it seriously. Let's stop looking at things as the Democrats are having it out for Trump. Whatever. Okay, I get it. Okay, I'm not a fan of Democrats myself too. So trust me, I see where some of your are coming from. But the FBI is Merrick Garland, and the FBI is not going to do something of this magnitude by raiding the former president of the United States. I don't give a shit with Donald Trump at all. Unless there is something there's probable cause on something. I don't care whether you support Trump or don't like Trump. The AG rather, is not going to sit there and sign off on this, and the federal judge is not going to sign off on this without having probable cause. So let's start right there, because even if you say it's political, which Andrew Yang said today too, I thought was right. Kind of. I don't know why he said that, to be honest, but that's just my whatever. Even if it's political, this is actually a risk for Democrats. This is going to hurt Democrats, because if this raid goes down, which it has gone down already, and they find nothing on Donald Trump on this is a major win for the GOP. And it will probably send a lot of Democrats, slightly left Democrats, conservative, slightly left-leaning Democrats, to really look over the mirror and figure out, well, is this party really for real? So there's a two-pronged thing here you need to look at and consider. Donald Trump might, this could go either way, but let the people investigate first. Like the AG is never going to do something like this without actually having probable cause. Okay, I know there's a lot of distrust in our government, and distrust and just the police and the FBI. I mean, people say, "Oh, the FBI didn't do this to Democrats." The FBI investigated Hillary Clinton herself too. What are we doing here? Like, stop! I don't like Hillary Clinton. I don't give a shit about Hillary Clinton at all. But let's not forget they did investigate her. Okay, there's a rule. Bottom line, let this play out and see where it goes. Okay, let's see where it goes, and then we'll go from there. I just mentioned Andrew Yang. He founded recently the Ford Party. The Ford Party is a party that is combined with centrists from both Republican, former Republicans and Democrats. Sorry, I got to say it 3 times fast. I see a lot of pushback from Democrats saying it's a bad idea for this because it could hurt them in the 2024 election. On the surface, the Ford Party is something I get behind, but I'm not going to do this yet because Andrew Yang's kind of been a little weird recently too. Kind of like same way how I get on Tulsi Gabbard about how she's been weird as of late. Andrew Yang kind of weird also too, and his approval rating a little lower. There's no actual approval rating, but you can tell there's a little bit of a drawback on Andrew Yang as of late, since 2020, since he ran for president back in 2020. Like I said, this is something I get behind in honestly, a moderate party, something a little different from Republicans and Democrats. But I want to see where this goes for another year first, if this is actually really serious. There's some people in this party who actually do like David Jolly's pretty good and whatnot. Andrew Yang, like up to this point, I've been a fan of his, but it's been kind of weird as of late. But I'm not gonna dive into this thing just yet until I see where this goes. I'm sure you guys have been following the Brittany Griner situation. This thing's annoying. Brittany Griner, I see both sides of the argument. Brittany Griner should have known better. Personal accountability. She should know better to take. Oh, at the very least, make sure that having contraband or marijuana, for that matter, into another country is legal. Not it was very dumb for her to do that. But both sides are arguing this thing intellectually dishonest. Both sides are. I can't stand it. You know, she has to be personally accountable for the things she does. But there's also idiots on the right also arguing the fact that, oh well, she's a hating American, this and that, so she deserves it. No, because she has the freedom. You guys forget how freedom works in this country, right? Free speech works, right? You're allowed to criticize your country if you want to. Okay, she never said she hated her country. She's critical of certain things that happen in this country. Like let's stop there. Okay, we can have a really good discussion and argument about this particular situation without getting polarized about it based on teams. Like everybody here arguing about this dishonest, having a dishonest conversation about this, all they care about really at the end is a point for their team, a check mark for their team. That's all they care about. It's disgusting to me. I want her to come home. I have questions though whether we should be trading a arms dealer for her. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie about that. That's kind of weird, and that's kind of like that's kind of like risky. Honestly, trading her for someone that can actually hurt, help a country, push forward more violence and stuff towards Ukraine and others in the future. I'm allowed to feel that way. To be honest with you, I want her home, obviously, but let's be real and let's be very concise about this kind of things. Anyway, my New York Mets are on fire. I am stunned. This came off a 5-game series against the Braves. Huge 5-game series against the Braves. Won 4 out of 5. Unbelievable. Again, I'm gonna say it. I've always been said for years. To be a Mets fan is to be a pessimist. But I'll say what I've been saying also since April. This team feels different. They feel different. Buck Showalter has these guys playing out of this world. These guys are unbelievable. They're playing good baseball now. And as we're recording, they're beating the Reds right now. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to go to the World Series. Obviously the National League, you have the Mets. The Braves are really good still. Don't count them out just yet. The Dodgers are on fire. I mean, and that's another story that no one's talking about. The Dodgers will be on fire. I have concerns there as a Met fan. But let's just keep it to the now. The Mets are fantastic to watch. They've been great. I'm proud of this team. DeGrom is back, pitching dominant baseball. So now you have DeGrom healthy, hopefully. Max Scherzer healthy as well, too. Hopefully, stays that way. My only concern is, can these guys stay healthy through these next 7 weeks? I'm pessimist. Obviously, I'm a Met fan, so I'm pessimist. But let's hope that these guys can stay healthy and they can move forward, and the Mets can. God, look. They won a World Series in my lifetime. I was 6 years old though. I didn't get to enjoy that. So of my four major teams, I root for the Heat, the Giants, the Rangers. I've seen those 3 teams all win championships as at least teenager, to an adult. The Mets is the one I have not seen yet, and I'm praying to God this is the year we do it, man. I will love to see a Mets World Series championship. Be great. But we'll see what happens. A lot of baseball to go. So let's hope that DeGrom and Scherzer stay healthy. And yeah, that's about it. What else? Where I go? I've been enjoying Kevin Nash, former WWE Hall of Famer, pro wrestler. His podcast. Years ago, I said that it might have been a topic on Take 3. Actually, we were asking. We'll talk about which wrestlers did I see a podcast on, and I remember saying that I would love to see Kevin Nash have a podcast. I was never a big Kevin Nash fan back in the day, or it's Diesel, if I matter. Never really cared for Kevin Nash or Diesel back in the day, in ring. This never was my taste. I thought he was one of the most overrated, one of the worst champions in the history of the company. But Kevin Nash out the ring and Kevin Nash on Twitter and on social media is fantastic. I've been saying that for a long time, and that's one reason why I was saying that I want to see Kevin Nash actually have a podcast, but to not just only make him a pro wrestling, but actually also to give out his political takes, his takes in the world, sports, and that's what his new show is. It's called Click This. I think it's called Click. Let me make sure. It's called click. I think I just click this. Let me make sure I get it right. I don't want to give out bad information here. Let's see if this phone can cooperate. It'd be nice. Let's go to K. Right there. Yeah, click this. The Kevin Nash podcast. Obviously, click this is also in tribute to the Click. If you're a wrestling fan, you know who the Click is. The Click was, of course, Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, Sean Waltman, which is X-Pac, which is 1-2-3 Kid, Triple H, Paul Levesque, and of course, recently departed Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. Yeah, love his podcast. He gets it has a radio feel to it, especially too, because it's very segmented. Like, they open the show talking about, current events and, and they get into politics. And he doesn't give a shit. He's not giving a shit. I know a lot of people write into the show. They're like, oh, enough of the politics, and tells them to fuck off. And I agree. You're allowed to politics. I don't care. I'm one of those guys that even if I didn't agree with politics, I still want to hear it. I don't care. Law's on a racist piece of shit. I don't care. So, yeah, I love the show. It's very structured. He's told some good stories for. I'm actually about 2 episodes behind now because I've been pretty busy at work and whatnot as of late. But I'm gonna get on the horse now, especially with this new hiatus now. This hiatus coming up for me. I'm gonna probably take some time to catch him on the podcast. But I love the structure of the show. It's a great show. It's not Conrad Thompson actually hosting it. It's some guy called Sean Oliver, who's actually really good, really good. So just check it out. It's on all podcast catchers. It was number 1 podcast for wrestling and all that for the last few weeks. Really good stuff. Really, really, really good stuff. Let me see. Anything else I had to talk on the doc I got to talk about before I get out of here? Let me see here. I talked about that already. Of course, football's coming around the corner, so fantasy football. Everybody's want fantasy football. I am not a fantasy football guy personally. I don't really care about fantasy football. I prefer sports betting and betting on games on Sundays than fantasy football personally. I know people ask me to join their leagues. I'm like, I don't want to take up space for someone who actually might want to spend time doing it. So I'm gonna decline there. So I'm not really a big fantasy football guy. So if you guys ask me to join your league, I'm gonna probably say no. Probably gonna say no. I know my family. I also are planning some vacations in the near future. I know my wife and I have been talking about probably going to Washington D.C. With the kids in April for the birthdays next year, and then as we were saying, with WrestleMania 40 being announced last week, being in Philadelphia for 2024, we are actually looking into probably going to that WrestleMania as well too. With my entire family, as well for that. So planning vacations, which is gonna be tough because next year I have my brother's wedding next year, which is on a destination wedding. Also his bachelor party is gonna be in Montreal, I think. A lot of things going on there. I got a lot of trips I had planned next year, and not enough money, I guess, right? So anyway, that was it for this podcast, I guess. Dated August 9th. 2022 is going to be on video for once. We'll try to do more of these videos once, hopefully in the near future, even the solo ones. If I feel up to it, of course. Again, on Twitter, each7. I'll be on hiatus for a little bit. We'll see how long it goes. Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe longer. Who knows? I'm going to take a little break and refresh a little bit. So, miss you guys already. Love y'all. Take it easy. Talk to you guys and see ya.